Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Cleef, and I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here. And I'm super thrilled to interview my friend Tim Shiner. Now, let me tell you about Tim. Tim has been on the show before and did a nice clip. He's done multifamily, but he really bared his soul. There were some mistakes made in that previous journey, and he was kind enough to share them. But the reason I wanted to have him back on the show, first of all, he's got one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. He has unilaterally donated thousands of dollars to my charity, and he's since we talked last, he's written an incredible book called The 50 Things They Didn't Teach You in School about entrepreneurship. He's a super successful entrepreneur. He's also got this poster that you can get called that kind of brings that down to the 25 habits you make as a future millionaire. And there's some awesome stuff on here, and I'm super excited to get into this. Tim, welcome back to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have fun today. So,
we are.
Take a minute and refresh people's memories as to who you are, why you're already successful. Just take a quick bio on yourself, and then let's dig into some strategies that you guys definitely want to listen to.
Thanks for asking. So, your podcast is straight down the middle, multifamily. If I say single family home, you'll beep it out like it's a bad cuss word. So when you and I first did our podcast, I made a lot of mistakes. And so in multifamily. And so I thought people can learn from success and they can learn from failure. And I'm a very transparent person. If I stepped in it, I want to warn you so you don't step in it. So we talked about multifamily in a low population. It limits your renters. It limits how you're going to exit. And since then, you and I have stayed friends, but you're the multifamily guy and I'm the SF guy, single family guy. And so really we're cats and dogs, but because you and I both are charitable, we've maintained our relationship. And you thought that, hey, it might be good to do a show with us just talking about how to encourage people to make that first $1 million. Because once you're a multimillionaire, you kind of forget what got you there. And when I turned 50 4 years ago, I wrote a book, 50 Things They Didn't Teach You in School. I grew up kind of middle class, good school district, but tough skin jeans, not Levi's. I had to work for everything. If I wanted to buy something, my parents would pay half. I had to pay the other half. I had paper routes. I lied about my age to be a busboy when I was 14. That whole 9 yards. So I wanted to give back like you always do. And I wrote 50 Things They Didn't Teach You in School. And then I condensed it down into a free poster, 25 Habits of a Future Millionaire, to help young people get there.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, I love it. And I love your heart. And I love the similarities between our story, because I BS'd my way to work as a busboy in Denny's and at Burger King way back a lifetime ago. So that's awesome. So let's talk about some of these habits and just get into, because guys, your success comes from your habits, the things that you do every day, day in and day out. That's why I love the title of this, 25 Habits of a Future Millionaire, because your habits, they either traject your life up or down. And we've got good habits, we've got bad habits around eating, around relationship, around business. But let's talk about business, and that's what this is geared towards. And this is an awesome poster. I printed it. So let's talk about some of these things. The first one, that's beautiful. Okay, so that's the one they can download.
Yeah, I laminated like a Denny's menu to make you feel more comfortable.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And by the way, guys, you can go to timshiner.com to get this, but let's talk about it. So the first one on here is Outwork Everybody. So you want to expand on that a little bit?
Here's the deal. It had to be number one, because if people think you're going to get there by luck or something else, that's not it. You got to outwork everyone. When you're young and had no skills at Denny's and Burger King, the only thing that mattered was your work ethic. Now, right, when you become more successful and you become an investor or a salesman or whatever that is, you have different skills. But when you got nothing, you're starting from nothing, hustle, because you never know who's looking at you. You never know what guy's looking for a new guy to hire. And if you're the guy flying around the restaurant and making everyone look like they're standing still, you might get recognized. I've been recognized. I got my first job in the security industry because I was the hardest working bartender.
Love it. I'm always on the lookout for people myself. I look, as smart entrepreneurs that are building their team, they look for work ethic and passion. the technical stuff we can train. We
Absolutely.
can't train the work ethic and the passion. You know, it's funny. I just saw an awesome video about outworking everyone, and it had a clip from Will Smith, a clip from Arnold Schwarzenegger, a clip from Kobe even, and you know, and it really hit home for me, and I really enjoyed watching it because, you know, I'll tell you, and I'll give you a great example of this. I've got a kid that was in my mastermind. I let him in my mastermind, which is now approaching $7 billion in assets because of his incredible work ethic. He really didn't have a you know what in, and he met his now partner who's got 4,000 doors. They have now partnered because his partner saw that work ethic. So I love that example. That's a beautiful example, and I've got like I say, this real world example. With David Tupin and Glenn Gonzalez are the two people I'm talking about, that's exactly how they came together. All right, the second one is leverage. Let's talk about leverage, brother. What do you mean by leverage?
All right, so when I was younger, I was Mr. 15-year mortgage. I used to buy used Honda Accords. I was always good with my money and never had credit card debt. And then I had a friend of mine teach me leverage. He borrowed against his alarm company to buy his first storage facility, and then borrowed against that. And now he's got 15. He's worth about 60 million bucks. And he used to run a bread truck route. And what I think people don't realize is without leverage, it's going to take a long time to get wealthy. I think the two things that help you get wealthy the fastest, and you might want to add or agree or disagree, is leverage and appreciation. You better have appreciation and leverage in your deals, or it's going to take a long time. So these people that go, man, I can't see putting 200 grand down on a multifamily unit, but if you put 200 grand and that's 20%, the bank owns 80%. I mean, you control that asset with that leverage of 20%, but you have 100% of the upside, and leverage is the fastest way I know to get wealthy, but you better be smart with leverage because it can come back at you like a boomerang, really hard. So you got to be smart with your leverage.
No question. No, that's a good one. You've also got here great advice only. What do you mean by that?
So I've got a little saying, watch out for the vice in advice. A lot of people will give you a lot of advice, but think about this. If you're just at a cocktail party and somebody's talking about real estate, they might have only done 4 transactions, and they might have been in 4 different decades, and there might have been in 4 different cities. So whatever they have to say might not be very relevant. I mean, if someone's looking to do multifamily, are they better off talking to you or me? They're better off talking to you. So if my son rode a bike 4 times, I'm not going to let him tell me what a great bike rider. He's not Lance Armstrong. So when you go for advice, go to people that really know. If you think about it, 98% of the people will never be a millionaire. So that means 98 people out of a room of 100 probably can't help you get where you want to go.
But they may think they're adding value to you, and it's so important to pay attention to that. That's a really important one, and they're all important, but that one really hits home because, you'll have people in your circle that through their fear or through their limiting beliefs will try to diminish your goals or to tell you what their opinions of things are. And it's like the adage, if you want to really lose weight, are you going to hire a trainer that's grossly overweight, or someone that's lost a lot of weight, knows the path and the map and the blueprint? So you want people that know what it is they're talking about. So I love it. So stand guard at the door to your mind. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing? So think about a guy like you. You value time more than anything.
Yes.
Wealthy people value time more than anything. So what I do when I want to visit with someone, and I've had a decent amount of success, but when I want to visit with someone, there's a guy from Asset Panda. He's probably worth $500 million. And his name is Rex, and he's an entrepreneur group that we're in. So I want a little bit of his time. And so I said to Rex, Rex, I want to take you for a cup of coffee. I'm going to write you a $2,000 check to your favorite charity. So when our listeners are saying, well, how do I get this really successful guy like you to take my time or have a cup of coffee? Well, what I always do is I offer to write a check to their charity, because no matter how much money you have, you'll always make time for someone that wants to be charitable to your charity. Yeah. And most successful people have about 5 or 10 endeavors they're always working on, that they're always trying to raise money for. So that's how I get to successful people.
Oh, I love that. It's an incredible strategy. And frankly, it worked with me, brother. You have been so generous with mine. And that's, you've been on my show twice, and I have, I can't tell you how many requests I get to be on this show. I mean, we're about to hit 8 million downloads. So,
wow.
So love it. And then you've got positive attitude, which of course is the only thing you can control, and success, it's impossible to have success without it. So that one's kind of a no-brainer.
Can I give you a couple of things on that, though?
Yeah, please.
So in 1991, Texas, where I live, Dallas, Texas, they started the lottery. So every day since 1991, I've had a pocket of lottery tickets. I'm a little low today. I've been handing them out. I got a pocket of lottery tickets every single day. And I encourage everyone, from the McDonald's worker that's wiping the side of the glass before they hand it to you, or the guy, anyone changing a garbage can gets a lottery ticket. And I said, man, thanks for making the place clean. So I control my day every day because I'm constantly doing something to tell people. The other thing I carry around with me is a Morgan dollar. It's silver dollar. Silver's at about $17 an ounce. I carry that around with me in case someone's having a hard time, because I want to listen to what their hard time is. But then I'm going to go, this thing's seen World War I, World War II, the Holocaust, stock market crash, on and on and on. Tell me more about your problem, because you're helping them. And then the final thing I do is, as soon as I have a negative thought, I instantly look for someone I can help, or I'll hold the door a little bit longer, or I'll pick up some garbage going into a building. If you had cancer in your body and you could extract it immediately, wouldn't you do that versus waiting a long time? So I have built-in triggers every single day, Morgan dollar lottery ticket. And if I have a negative thought, I help someone immediately, hold the door extra long, or pick up garbage, and that fixes it.
I love that. And guys, that is so freaking huge. Let me tell you why that's huge. Because anytime you have a negative thought, or you're depressed or feeling bad about yourself, you're focused inwardly. And when you turn that around and you focus your love and your energy towards helping someone else, it's impossible to feel crappy yourself. I love that one, brother. I totally love that one. All right. So the next one on your list is mentors. This one I feel very strongly about. I've had mentors my entire life. Why don't you speak to that for a minute?
So I've got a saying that mentors come before money, just like it does in the dictionary. Mentors come before money, just like in the dictionary. And the reason being is, some guy will graduate college and they'll take the wrong job because it's paying $8,000 more. And that wrong job doesn't have the right guy there. So I always say, take a look at your potential boss and see how he's living, and take a look at his boss and see how he's living, because that's probably 5 years and 10 years down your road. If I was a young guy and I had the chance to meet you, I'd wash your car, I'd mow your lawn, I would do whatever it took I'd drive your car for you. I'd do anything, because what mentors do is it fast tracks you. It gets you going way faster.
Shortens the window, man.
It really does.
Get you from point A to point B that much faster.
But the other thing it does, it can help you eliminate mistakes.
Right.
I mean, when you're in a crucial thing, hey, I'm thinking about buying this $10 million building, and you call in Atlanta, and then you call someone you trust and a mentor in Atlanta and go, hey, what are you seeing? Oh, you know what? They're redoing this, and the road's going to be closed for 5 years. It's going to be Beirut there for 5 years. And you're like, oh, wow, thanks. So mentors are so very important. And if you bring value to them, if you're sincere to them, they'll help you.
Yeah, no. And I've had them my whole life, and it's just so critical for your success. Love that one. So here's one that I feel very strongly about. And it's one of the things I work with my students on, and that is learn how to sell.
It's huge.
Yes.
Here's what I love. I love when people say, hey man, I tried being a sales guy. It didn't work out. Right. Well, I tell you, the first time I played golf, and even the most recent time, it didn't work out too well. But you're not supposed to be good at things right away. So why would you expect to be good at sales? But the challenge with sales versus something else, nothing gives you as much negative rejection as not selling something. So the reason why people never go through the journey of becoming a successful salesperson, in my opinion, is they can't handle the rejection. They don't realize it's part of the process. But the thing about sales is, if you think about it, times are good. Everyone's got a job that wants a job. So a sales guy's valuable. But when a sales guy's the most valuable is in 08 or 09 in the recession. Mm-hmm. And when I was a young guy, I figured if I invested in myself, Tim Shiner Inc., if I got every Zig Ziglar tape, every Tom Hopkins tape, if I invested in me to learn how to sell, I would have this ability the rest of my life to create money. And I feel bad for people that aren't salespeople because they probably feel like their life is predetermined. As a sales guy, I'm optimistic and I know I can make money no
You can
matter
do
what.
anything. You truly can do anything. You're absolutely right. In fact, it's so funny. I've got my son. He wants to start his own construction company. He loves to work with his hands. And I've got him watching Grant Cardone's sales tapes to get to learn sales, because the bottom line is that's one of the most important skills you can learn in the multifamily space. Guys, if you think you don't need to know sales, you're sadly mistaken. It's one of the most important pieces. You're selling yourself to sellers, to brokers, to property managers, to potential investors. You have to learn how to influence.
Absolutely.
I prefer the word influence to sell, but the bottom line is it's the same thing. You have to be able to sell and influence people to take an interest in you and buy whatever product or service or whatever you're doing, and it's so critical. Love it. Okay, you've got pick a fast-growing line of work. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so you're in multifamily. Mm-hmm. What we could do with real estate, and you're sitting behind Sarasota, Florida, the ocean right there. So you could either buy multifamily in Sarasota or maybe Duluth, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And you're going to do good on either one. But where are people moving to and where are people moving away from? Where's population going to be stagnant or flat for the next 100 years, and where is it going to be growing? So the business analogy of that is get in a business. I wouldn't want to be in the newspaper business nowadays. It might have been a great business 20 years ago. But back to a real estate analogy is like Gretzky, skate to where the puck's going. Get your real estate to where the people are moving. People are always going to be moving to Florida because of the weather and the tax benefits. So I'd much rather own multifamily in Texas, where I'm at, or Florida and the southern states, and the states that have great tax advantages. So in real estate, go where the people are moving to. I mean, people are moving to Texas in droves.
Yeah, we call it emerging markets, and that's really where you want to be, is an emerging market, one where population, income, and jobs are growing, and certainly anywhere south applies. That's where most of our assets are. In fact, we've now got a second asset we're about under contract with in your backyard there, brother, Dallas. We've got one already, but yeah, absolutely love it. Okay, so you've got own a business. Speak to that a little bit.
You got to own a business. I think sometimes the challenge is people try to do it too soon. The other thing, if you're married and have kids, you want to own a business because Tim and Rod said, hey, own a business. That can be scary. So if you currently are unemployed, try to figure out a business on the side, whether it's real estate or whatever it is. And then once you have enough revenue from that, then make the switch. I think you're crazy. I mean, I went cold turkey, but I was already in the industry, the security industry, for, about 14 years when I did it. But the only way you're going to get wealthy, I believe, is owning a business.
I agree completely. But what you just said, I have students ask me, should I quit my job and do this full time? I always say no. And here's why. Because if you have no source of income and you're trying to do this cold turkey, you are going to be in fear. And what does fear do? It paralyzes you. So you need to be doing this on the side. But yes, when you're getting into the multifamily space, you're taking off your employee hat, putting on your entrepreneur hat, and you're becoming a business owner. And that's a different mindset. It's a different attitude. And there is no 9 to 5 at that point. There's 9 to 5, and then you start your entrepreneur business. So I love it. Now go ahead.
The old acronym JOB stands for just over broke.
Right.
And then I had a friend lately said, once you turn 40, you better have a business, because once you get a little bit older, he called it the tall grass theory. They're going to clip the tall grass. So if you're 50 years old and you're making $200,000 a year and they could get 2 young bucks for 100, you're the tall grass that's going to get clipped. So it's important to own your own business.
I tell the story. I show the picture of my dad in front of a DC-10, the first DC-10 that landed in Denver 50 years ago. And he worked for Continental Airlines for 36 years. In fact, he used to have us, not exaggerating, you could always tell their planes because they had the gold tail. And he used to make us put our hands over our hearts whenever one of those planes flew by.
Wow.
After 36 years, he got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
I had a similar thing. My dad got sliced and diced at 52 years old, and I promised myself I'd own a business someday to avoid that.
Yep. All right, you've got Be Nice, and I do want to hear what you have to say about that, because that resonates with me.
It's free. people are attracted, whether it's the law of attraction or whatever, be nice. People want to do business with nice people. You don't have to beat the last dime out of something. I'm an extremely nice person. I have something nice to say to everyone. I want the aura of a giver. I want the energy of, and you don't know what that person's going through. You know what I mean? I mean, we got a bunch of zeros in the bank account. We got some nice cars and nice houses, and you don't know what that guy's going through. Right. So be nice. I mean, right. Are you going to be some rich, mean old guy? You know?
Yeah. No. I love it. And guys, you don't know Tim like I do, but he lives that, as evidenced by, what he does all throughout the day, giving people nice things and the lottery tickets, the silver dollars, the just the love is so freaking important. And I will tell you, he's super successful because the way God or the universe or whatever you believe works, they both work the same way, is that power moves to those that serve others, period.
Absolutely.
And that's why you and I are both successful, and it ties right into the next one, which is be charitable. And because I'm going to tell you, and I got that memo, and I didn't get it till I was 40. I was totally focused on me. I tell the story. I built this giant $8 million house on the beach here in Sarasota. 2 months after I moved in, I was depressed because I was totally focused on me. Went and saw Tony that year, started feeding families. Now we've fed, 75,000 kids. And it's been my greatest gift in life. And you've been so generous to help me with it. But you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I love being charitable. I always joke that God knows I'm a flow through entity. If he blesses me with some dollars, it's not going to stop there. It's going to flow through. So why would you not keep blessing me with dollars? But I look every single year. I want my giving to be more than the last year. And it has been for as long as I can remember it. I just think it's the right thing to do. And some people want to tithe to a church. I love tithing to entrepreneurs. I love helping people for random things. We've got this little Greasy Spoon restaurant down the street, and there's a 50-ish waitress there, and she's really sad that her daughter, her grandchildren, and her son-in-law moved to India to do some mission work. I got a bazillion airline miles because we buy things on credit cards, and so I said, my wife and I were there. We're like, we'll send you to India, and she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we'll send you to India, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we do that. I said, it's no big deal. To see her come back, she just came back. She was there for 2 weeks. To see her come back, I believe it was about 10 days ago I was in there. She was glowing, just glowing. Wow. So how cool is that? So that's
beyond cool, brother. And
you can give in a lot of ways.
Wow. Guys, if you're not blown away by that, I don't know what to tell you. And Tim, tell me if you agree with this. That your financial success actually comes faster when you adopt that mindset and operate that way. I know it's worked that way for me. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely. It's just, it's funny. I was married one time before, and I always was charitable, and we didn't have that much money yet. And all I told my ex-wife is all I know is the more charitable I am, the more successful I am. And I don't think it's a coincidence, but she was the type, maybe like how you were thinking when you were 40, she was the type that once I make it, then I'm going to be charitable.
Right. And that's the message I want to give. That's the message I want because I got young guys listening to this show, young women, blood dripping from their teeth. They want it so freaking bad. I'm here to tell you, incorporate the giving now, because power moves to those that give and serve. It's just the way it works. It doesn't matter if you're not religious, whatever you believe, it doesn't matter. It's a universal truth. And so, yeah, really, really glad. By the way, guys, you should get this friggin' poster because it is cool. And
it's priced right.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Okay, you've got good debt only, which I was going to expand on when you talked about leverage. Obviously, you want to use debt to buy assets that throw off cash flow. You don't use debt to buy a car or things that are going to cost you.
So Rod, one little thing we do at our house, unless somebody else is paying for it, then it's paid for. So my personal residence is paid for, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bentley, I'm a car guy, Tesla, all that's paid for because it's not generating any money. And now it took me a while to be set like that. I mean, if you're using equity in your house to go buy your first multifamily, God bless you, and that's good. But my little rule of thumb, unless it's throwing off cash, it's paid for.
Love it, man. I love it. And that's the way to do it, and I love those cars you just mentioned. I've got several of them
There you
myself.
go. No wonder we get along so well.
Love it. Love it. So you've got meet new people. Why don't you expand on why that's so freaking important?
This is so important. So the different version of you, 365 days, there's only two things. The positive or negative influence from reading, listen to podcasts, doing that, and the people you meet. That's it. You meet no one new. You don't do anything. You don't read anything. You don't do anything. You're the exact same person. I'm proud to say this year has been the greatest year of meeting great people. I'm in this amazing entrepreneur group, and we joined. I'm not a country club guy, but we joined a country club, and there's so many first generation, really wealthy people that are so down to earth, and I'm energized. I'll tell you one more thing. I'm intentional about everything. So I made 100 cards this year that says one of the coolest things in 2020 was meeting you. At the bottom has Tim Shiner. And I hope to reorder that. But I intentionally plan on meeting at least 100 people that are legitimately cool enough that I can write that thing. And I hope to God I'm reordering by June or July. But the response to people that get it, it just shows how intentional. It's one thing.
That is so awesome, man. I just wrote that down. I'm stealing that one.
Please
freaking love that, man. I love it. I love it. And guys, this honestly, this is why so many people keep coming back to my events, because they're networking. If you go in the Facebook group, you'll see people say, this is my second one. It's my third one, fourth one, even fifth one. By the way, early bird pricing is still around. I hate to use a plug for this, but it truly is. It truly is.
Ron, what is it? I don't know about it, so please tell me.
I do 3-day boot camps about multifamily investing.
I know
by
that.
By the way, okay. I am actually going to be in Dallas, but I don't want to publicly say when, but I do have an event coming there, and I'd love to actually meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, but that's why, because in this business and really in life, like you said, it's what you learn and who you meet. That's it. Otherwise, you're stagnant. Nothing changes. And so, people come, and I got to tell you, at the last event I had in LA, I got goosebumps seeing the hundreds of people out in the hallways in small groups connecting and meeting and learning. It was a beautiful thing to see. All right. This next one I feel very, very, very strongly about, which is read.
Me too. So, I was your typical get by student because I didn't understand how geometry was going to help me make my first million. So the first book I ever read, I heard him on a radio interview, and it was Tony Robbins' Unlimited Power. It was the first book I read. I read it. I was 20 years old. I bought my first house when I was 19. And I read Tony's book, and I devoured it. And that was what got me on the love of knowledge. It's one thing being a student, being forced to read stuff you don't want to, but it's another thing when they're books you love. And one of the really favorite things I love are biographies. I love hearing people's stories. I love it because I'm going to ruin. If you never read a biography, they almost drove it in the ditch 27 times, and then something good happened, then something bad happened, and then eventually they made it. I mean, there's no fast pass to
they failed their way to success, man.
That's exactly
that's
right.
a common story. And guys, I don't know if you're hearing any similarities here. You know how I feel about Tony. I've been following him around the planet for 20 years, and he and I have the same garages. We have beautiful homes. We have loving, beautiful families. And if you're listening and this is what you want, this is not, please understand, this is not ego. This is just, I want to inspire you to see what it takes to be a success in life, in multifamily, whatever it is. It's all of these things. And there's so many similarities between he and I in this regard, because it freaking works.
It does.
Okay. So I've got thousands of books in my library, literally thousands. I'm not exaggerating. And I had to go find your book before this interview. And I actually had to send my assistant over to find it because it's not organized as well as I'd like. So I made her come over here to find it. So in time for this, but
So there's two things, because I agree. I never want to come across as this guy or that guy. A couple things I say. There's a zillion people wealthier than me. There's a zillion people not as wealthy. So don't take yourself too serious. The other thing is, the Lamborghinis and the houses and all that stuff. We're a steward of it for a while. That shirt, that house, my house, this shirt will eventually be somebody else's. So don't take it too serious. You're a steward of it for a while.
Love it. No, I love it. That's a great mindset, buddy. It's a great mindset. Talk about not wasting time. That's number 16 on this thing.
Well, you and I talked before we got on air that the most valuable thing in life is time, and
Yeah.
and I think when you become wealthier, you realize it's time, and
Time's everything. Yeah.
Time's everything, and we all have the same amount of it. It's just what do we do with it? And I just don't waste time. I mean, I'm a huge Rush fan. Neil Peart just passed away, but a song that resonated me when I was about a 13-year-old boy is, "If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice." It's from the song Free Will. So people that are thinking, "Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do that till tomorrow." Don't kid yourself. You've just made a choice that you're not doing it. And I've got another saying: if I don't have time to do it now, when will I? So when I'm like thinking about pushing some off, if I don't have time now, when will I?
I'm laughing because I have one that says, if not now, when?
Yeah, same deal.
It's the same freaking thing. It just worded differently. I love it. So you've got solved problems, and this is one that I feel strongly about. So give me your take on that.
Okay, so I'm a young sales guy. I'm lousy. I'm driving a Saab 900 in Kansas.
Oh my God, I had a Saab 900 too.
Mine was white.
Freaking hilarious, a black one. That's freaking hilarious.
So it was front wheel drive, so it worked out pretty good up north. So anyway, I'm listening to Zig Ziglar, and I'm broke, man, and I'm a bad sales guy, and I was trying to get better. And Zig said, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And I'm like, I don't have anything. And now you're telling me I got to help Rod get something before I can get something. And so ever since then, I go into businesses or people and I ask them, like, I hate the word problem. I'm like, what challenges do you have? And I start off every meeting with that, because if you can solve a guy's challenges, he's likely to buy what you're selling or become a friend or whatever, but solve problems. I always say there's no money in no. There's no money in no.
Love it.
Solve problems.
Love it. And guys, when let's equate that to the multifamily business. Some of the most successful multifamily players that I know solve freaking problems. When you take that mindset, like Tim just described, you put on your creative hat, and there are very often creative ways to get deals done that unless you're thinking creatively, you'll pass them by and you'll miss out on opportunity, and sometimes amazing opportunity. So that's why that one's a big one. You've got set goals on here. They've heard me talk about that ad nauseum. And by the way, guys, if you did not listen to my goal setting workshop that I did on January 1st for an hour and a half on my Rod Khleif official page, and I even have a goal setting worksheet you can download and follow along. It's so freaking critical. In fact, if you text 2020 goals to 41411, you get the worksheet, and you can do your own workshop. But do you want to add anything to goals?
We're not going to belabor that. I'll just say I'm in my 35th anniversary of setting goals.
Love it, man. Love it. Okay, this one's huge. This one's so huge. Love what you do.
Yeah. People, the reality TV show that I would start, it's called What I Would Do With Your Money. And we'd stick somebody in my house with my stuff and my net worth, and then I go to their deal and I'd fix all their stuff. But I love it. But the reason I say that is I'm never going to retire because I love what I do. I mean, I love putting people together. I love creating revenue streams. I love doing something once that creates a revenue stream for a decade or for perpetuity. So every day is a great day for me because I love what I do. And I've also managed to create enough freedom in my life that I have about 30 days out of the year where I have to be somewhere. But the rest of it, I really don't. And so it's like the key about owning your own business and creating wealth and passive wealth is you basically get a blank canvas that you get to paint. And so the only part I don't get to paint is the edges that are about 30 days out of the year where I have to be somewhere because of my business obligations. Mm-hmm. So that's why you got to love what you do. And you got to create your scenario so that you can enjoy your life.
I love it. And honestly, that's resonating with me because I have so many commitments right now that I need to put on that lifestyle hat. But I do happen to love what I do. Sure. So it doesn't feel like work. And guys, you've heard me say this before. If you don't love multifamily real estate and you can't learn to love it, for God's sakes, go do something else. Please, life is too short to not do what you love. Love it. Okay. This one really resonates with me because I had Tom Hopkins on the podcast, and he's such a classy guy. and he sent me a handwritten thank you card. And now I have literally hundreds. You can't even see them all behind me on the wall here from the love that I've gotten from people, who've been impacted by my work. And so the next one, guys, is thank you cards. He's got it on the list here because it's so freaking important. So
here's the thing on that. It's funny because you've sent me some, I've sent you some, and how you've got a zillion guests, but how I learned thank you cards was a Tom Hopkins seminar in Kansas City, Missouri in 1988. That's the deal. But here's why it's going to be a more valuable resource. Just kind of like when there's less land, the value goes up and the scarcity. Because of text messages and because of emails, the value of a thank you note is at a 100-year high. Because there's just
nobody's getting them anymore.
They're not.
I get them. I get them all the time, and it's just such a gift, and that's why I save them because they mean so much to me. So love it, brother.
I bag them and tag them every year. All the thank you cards I receive, I bag them up, stick them in my safe, and just try to see if it was a heavier bundle than the year before. And typically is.
Love it. Next one is follow-up. And he's got follow-up like crazy. And I wrote it down because even in my team, we're not doing it the way we should be. And so speak to that, please.
So I just spoke to an entrepreneur group a Tuesday ago. There's 125 people in there. And this is my visual for following up. If we think about it, arguably the guy that made a living out of rebounding is Dennis Rodman. He did rebounding, the dirty work. Everybody wants to shoot a three. Everyone wants to slam dunk. But the rebounder is the grinder. The rebounder has to figure out the angle that the ball's going to come off the backboard or the rim. And that's my visual for follow-up is rebounded. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be glamorous. It's grinding. It's making the extra phone call. It's texting. It's sending the guy the note. So at this talk, one of the mentees is a big basketball fan, and so I tossed him an autographed Rodman jersey. But I like to visualize something. So when you didn't get the deal yet, and it's taken forever, and your closing gets pushed back, and you're worried about falling out of option, all these things, it's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to grind it and rebound and rebound and rebound. And down a little bit further south and on the other side of the ocean or other side of the state, Pat Riley's famous line is no rebounds, no championship rings. No rebounds, no rings. And if you think it's going to be any other way in our businesses, you're kidding yourself.
Love it. Love it. I met Pat at Tony Robbins Resort in Fiji, actually. God, this is a
full circle.
Yeah, exactly. All right. There's three more, guys. Stick with it because they're super important. The next one is be passionate. Speak to that, please.
Obviously, you're passionate. I'm passionate. The old saying that sales is nothing more than a transfer of emotion. I'm very passionate. And what's good about my personality is if I'm into it, I'm into it, and it shows. If I'm not into it, unfortunately, what's bad about my personality, it shows. Be passionate. Nobody wants to follow somebody that isn't excited. This is your only chance on the planet. Be passionate. Be on board. I mean, I'm super passionate about everything.
Yeah, let me tell you, those of you in multifamily, why this is so important, and why I'm really glad that you've got love what you do before this one. Because honestly, if you don't love what you do, you can't be passionate. And if you can't be passionate, how the hell are you going to inspire anyone to work with you, to invest with you, to sell to you? You can't. That's why loving what you do is so critical, so that you can be passionate. Inspire others. Love it.
Absolutely.
All right. Second to last one is what's in it for them.
Okay. So many people, until they learn another way, tend to think only what's in it for them. How much am I going to make on this flip? What type of commission am I going to on this? You need to think about what's in it for the other person. If you can be in their shoes and focus on what they're getting, you're probably going to get what you want. But it's a giver trait. If you're a taker, you're probably never going to master this one. It's a giver trait. But if you really focus, like my wife is selling a guy a commercial building. She's out doing it right now. And it's $1.6 million commercial building. And she's going to reduce her commission from 3 to 1.5. The gentleman bought a lot of stuff for her. But she just thought, you know what? He could have went somewhere else. He did a lot of the legwork finding the buildings. She's not having to do that much. And so she's like, I'm just going to give him half my deal back, because she thought about what's in it for him. And it's probably a smart move, because they'll probably refer a lot of 3 commission deals. But she thought, what's in it for him? That's an example. Fresh.
I love that, man. I love that. That speaks to her so strongly. I freaking love it. So last but not least,
it's the best one.
Honestly, the most important one, honestly, in my opinion, and I'm going to speak to this after you do, but it's okay. Once you're a millionaire, then what?
You help many people become millionaires. And my visual for that, because I've been given a lot of analogies and visuals, we're all in the ladder of life. And so I'm pretty sure you're worth a lot more money than me. So you could literally reach down on the ladder and grab me and pull me up a couple rungs. Now, the gentleman I'm mentoring that owns a valet parking service in DFW Airport, he's right at $1 million. I can reach down and grab him up and pull him a few rungs. I just taught him how to do a personal financial statement because he was judging his wealth by what he made that year instead of net worth. So if I bet if I asked you if you could have 10 more million in the bank on your deathbed, or you could have known that you created 10 more millionaires, which would you pick?
No question.
But when we're all struggling to get that first million, you don't think about that. But that it's legacy.
But let me say this, and I'm going to say this, and the caveat to this, in my opinion, I don't think you have to wait till you're a millionaire. If you learn a trade, if you learn multifamily or just a piece of multifamily, just as an example, it could be anything, but as an example, and you help someone else learn it, not only power will move to you, you will learn more in that educational process. You're helping someone else, you will get further faster. Trust me on this. I use the analogy, we have two hands, one to help ourselves up, one to help other people up. You do not even have to wait till you're a millionaire to start this process. Okay. Well, listen, guys, this is on timshiner.com. It's a free download. For God's sakes, go get it. I think you can buy the poster if you want to get the actual poster, but I just downloaded it. It's right there. It's beautiful. It's the 25 Habits of a Future Millionaire, and every one of them is super important. Brother, it's so good to see you, man.
Nice to see you.
And shame on me, the next time I'm in Dallas, I will definitely let you know. I'd love to have dinner with my wife and your wife and see you, my friend. And
you can count on me this Christmas for your bear charity.
Oh, thank you.
Can you talk about that real quick, what you do? Because you're a pretty modest guy, but talk about it.
Thank you, man. I feed families, and that's it. And we feed at-risk families with my foundation, the Tiny Hands Foundation, and like I said, it's really what turned my life around, to instead of focusing on me, to focus on other people. And it's been incredible, and it's something I love doing, and I'm sure we'll do somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 families, and somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 children. So it's my love. It's my passion project. It gives my life meaning. It gives my life fulfillment, and I love it. But thank you for.
You can count on my check this year again, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will probably start writing you a check.
I appreciate it. It's tinyhandsfoundation.org if you have an interest. And thank you for allowing me to say that, because I really don't talk about it as much.
I know you don't,
podcast. Bud. Yeah, thank you. All right, brother. It's great to see you, my friend. Yeah. It was great to meet your son earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.